Alright, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Lucas, here with the big Go Pack Go channel. It's the Packers fan channel, where I give you my opinions, my thoughts, and everything as far as Packers go, and a little bit to the rest of the NFL every now and then. Maybe probably mostly just big news, honestly, but we're gonna focus on the Packers here. So as far as that goes, in this video I just want to talk about the state of the Packers, as far as everything that's happened this offseason, and from the offense to the defense to the coaches to the schedule. We'll talk about it all. So let's dive right in, starting with the offense first. As far as the offense goes, through this offseason, we've re-signed Aaron Rodgers. They've restructured a few contracts. David Bakhtiari signed a reconstructed. Is that the word? Structured. We gonna learn together. They restructured David Bakhtiari's. They also did Aaron Jones. Believe Randall Cobb took a pay cut to create more cap space. Talking about cap space, they did trade away Davante Adams. Try to offer him that big money. He didn't want it. He just wanted to play with his mans over there in Oakland or Las Vegas now with the Raiders. But it is what it is. They got a second and a first round pick, which is nice. So now they got 5 picks in the first 100 pick, in the top 100. So 5 picks in the top 100, and they could really hit on some good talent there for the offense. Obviously, the common thought going into this draft is they're going to take wide receiver first. Now that they traded away Davante, they haven't really had a number 2 receiver that was a big household name for too much. Of course, we as fans, we love Allen Lazard. MVS was a very split fan base. I was not that much of a fan. Last season, he didn't drop that many of his passes as he had in the past seasons, but he also didn't play that much. So, if we're being realistic here, I don't think they're gonna miss him. Maybe just the fact that he was a field stretcher and that speed. But there are guys in this draft who they can find who will do the same thing, and honestly, they have better hands coming out of college already. So, we can see the ball skills there, and so you can tell. And this is a deep receiver draft, so the common thought is that they'll go in, take care of that with 1 or 2 of the top picks that they got in the top 100. Because honestly, right now, if we were to look at their roster, these folks. Let me pull it up real quick. Forgive me. Linebackers. Supposed to be receivers. Yes. So right now they only got Chris Blair, Randall Cobb, Rico Gafford, Amari Rodgers, who they drafted last season, Malik Taylor. They signed Sammy Watkins, and they got Juwan Winfrey. So as far as that goes, not the most awe-inspiring group. Now, as far as this goes, we can go down one by one, talking about each guy. Juwan Winfrey came from the Broncos, I think, just last season, if not the season before. He was on the practice squad for most of it, for part, and then he was on the team because of injuries for the rest. Um, but he looked okay. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. Just a guy who could. He showed some stuff. He shows he could do something. I think it was in preseason when he was showing off. Of course, it's the preseason, man. But every now and then throughout some of the games, he did look like he was, getting his thing, doing his thing out there. As far as that goes, we can move on to we'll skip Sammy Watkins talking about him last. As far as that goes, Malik Taylor, he's been on the squad for a while. We know about him. Amari Rodgers, like I said, we drafted him last season. It's way too early to talk about him as far as buzz. He was only a 3rd round pick, anyways. Not an early round, but not exactly that later round. You kind of want the guy to work out, kinda. Mainly a slot, but hopefully he can get his stuff together for the return game, because that's kind of where he shined a little bit in college. Aside from like what he did on the field, thanks to Trevor Lawrence throwing him the ball and actually getting him the ball. He showed he can do some stuff in college coming out of Clemson. He didn't get many reps last season, but we know Aaron Rodgers with rookie receivers ain't exactly the best, although he might have to break that habit this season, because he will have probably a nice handful of rookies on the team here and there. I say handful, maybe 2 or 3 really at max. Unless they bring in like 3 or 4 other undrafted free agents for some odd reason. We'll see what happens there. They also got Rico Gafford, who's hasn't really been on the field. Randall Cobb, we all know Randall Cobb. That's our guy. Since he came out of college and since he's been on our team, he left and we were all sad. We're all happy he's back, and we're all happy he took that pay cut. But as far as the play goes, he is a little old. Mainly a slot guy. Can't return the way he did before. He ain't got that speed no more, but he's got the savvy to really run them routes, and as far as the short game, make it happen, get himself open. He's always had that great chemistry with Rodgers to just come back for the ball if he was breaking the pocket. So that's that guy, and we all saw what he could do in last season. When he played, he was actually making an impact. I mean, against the Steelers, he scored 2 touchdowns, and necessary touchdowns. Of course, they were short yardage situations, but I mean, okay, short yardage situations, the guy's coming now, he takes that short and he took it to the house. Like, I mean, what else do you want from a guy, right? So Randall Cobb doing his thing, and then Chris Blair was a rookie last season, really a first-year player this season. So we'll see what happens with him. Still an unknown, basically. So going back to the one guy that I did skip was Sammy Watkins, and Sammy Watkins, as far as that goes, I think with his 1 year and up to $4 million contract, but it's really only like 1.3 or 1.4, something around that ballpark, and the rest is going to be incentives. Like, truthfully, I think if that man can just stay healthy, he can do some damage. I mean, we've seen the guy make some plays. There's a reason why he was the number 4 overall pick. I think it was in 2014 or 20. So he can make some plays. Is just staying healthy, staying on the field. Availability is your best. And like, that guy hasn't been as available as he should for a number 4 overall pick. So yeah, if the guy can just stay healthy, though, I mean, he can do some damage. As far as that goes, we did see him burn Richard Sherman in the Super Bowl. And I mean, of course, yeah, Sherman wasn't ever that fast, but the fact that he was able to break him off and get off of his whatever press or zone that he was at and make it happen. You know, he had Mahomes throwing the ball. It's not any different with Rodgers throwing the ball. Truthfully, talent's immense, so they'll get him the ball. It's just he's got to be on the field to make that play. You feel me? But we'll see what happens with him. As far as that goes, everything else that they need help at tight end, but I don't think there's really a tight end in this draft that they're gonna look at and be super ecstatic with, unless in some way, shape, or form they really love like somebody like Jelani Woods, huge guy, 6'7", just a massive receiver, Rob Gronkowski type of guy as far as height wise goes. There's also Charlie Kolar, who's huge. Or they might like some of those smaller jumbo tight end guys like Isaiah Likely or a jumbo receiver type of tight ends, should I say. Isaiah Likely, Okonkwo, the guy out of Maryland I was hearing about just recently. He's a guy who tested out better than Likely. Same size, like height, weight, build. Dang near the same guy, except our buddy from Maryland is actually a little more athletic, so might like that guys in the later rounds. We'll see how that goes, but they do need help at tight end, but I don't really think that there is that guy in this draft. There's guys with potential though. Obviously they're all there with the potential to be there, but I don't think there's that one like super breakout. Maybe Greg Dulcich, who's a great blocker but sneaky receiver. We could talk about in the much later rounds. They might get lucky and go ahead and get Cameron Latu from Alabama, and he wasn't a bad receiver. Guy just can't stay on the field. Sounds familiar, don't it? Yeah. There's a few fellas out there who Jake Ferguson, actually out of Wisconsin. I like the hometown boy. Yeah, Jake Ferguson out of Wisconsin. Packers can grab him. I think he's a nice receiving threat. There's a few other fellas out there. You can't name them all at once, but either way, we'll see. We'll see how the Packers feel, because in the end, I mean, shoot, we've all thought that they were gonna do one thing, and they took Jordan Love. So, besides the fact, they also do need help on the offensive line. Yeah, they let go of Billy Turner to save some cap space. They got guys like David Bakhtiari and Elgton Jenkins coming back. Bakhtiari is should be back at full strength. Jenkins should be on the verge of coming back because his injury was like almost the same timing as Bakhtiari's was the season before, so it was really but like a little earlier. So he might get lucky and have a little more time to come back a little healthier. Would be good. Either way, they do need help at that offensive line, so hopefully, grabbing. I say they should really aim for a right tackle talent and have that be the competition for somebody like Royce Newman. Because honestly, as far as that goes, if you tell me that the Packers would walk out there with an offensive line consisting of David Bakhtiari, Elgton Jenkins, Josh Myers, John Runyon at right guard, and then possibly somebody like Abraham Lucas or Royce Newman himself, or Josh Nijman, who just had his first really great season with playing time, and he showed out really well, so I say give him a shot over at right tackle, put him in competition with Royce Newman, and draft another guy that way, because the Packers do love versatility, so they'll most likely grab a guard tackle prospect that can flip switch and go through. So then they got that versatility to go. And they've had luck going into later rounds, mid rounds, really fourth, fifth round with that. So we'll see how that goes. But they do. I know for sure that they'll probably grab one in this draft, and I hope they really aim for that tackle. The tackle, that way they leave the guards guard spots out for Elgton Jenkins and John Runyon. People are sleeping on John Runyon. He's actually a really great player. He filled in fantastic at left guard this season. If they want to keep him at left guard and move Elgton Jenkins out to right guard, I don't think anybody would be mad, honestly. But we'll see where they go. Aside from that, on the offense, they don't really need a running back. They've got the best running back tandem, if not somewhere in the top 3, top 5. If not, I mean, not to be a homer, not to be biased out of nowhere, because there are backfields out there that are fantastic, but a tandem that's super efficient. I mean, they just both broke over 1,000 yards each in total yardage, so you don't really get 2 backs doing that for one team, and these fellas did it efficiently. So I'm confident with the backfield they got. If Colin Hill can get healthy, because that man took a nasty hit to the knee, tore up that ace. Oof, it was just, I mean, we all watched that game and you can see the impact. It was ugly. But either way, if he can get healthy, hopefully, willingly, I think he can contribute himself to mainly in the return game too, because he's a good returner. He running back that can return, it's pretty rare to find. That man can do something. And don't tell me Cordero Patterson is a running back. He's a football player. He ain't got a position. That man can return, he can catch, he can run, but he's not. His greatest thing is returning. So let's. I don't know. Cordero Patterson is not a running back though. He was drafted as a receiver returner. So that's what I always look at him as. Obviously, they don't need a quarterback. Of course, they could shock the world and take a late round quarterback. Which, I mean, somebody like Bailey Zappi out of Western Kentucky. He actually looks like he can make some plays with the tape that is out there for him. So look out for him. Of course, not the highest competition, so people are going to kind of bag on it, but I mean, we've seen other prospects come out, and I mean, shoot, Malik Willis is a first rounder, and he's coming from Liberty. Granted, he was a transfer from Auburn. Yes, that's an SEC, so huge, but I mean, he came from Liberty now, and he's still seen as big, so don't sleep on a lower competition guy just because you hear those words come out behind them, the lower competition. No, but I don't think they'll really do that, honestly. I think they'll more focus on, for offense, I think they're more focusing on that wide receiver, obviously, guard, tackle position, and maybe in the later rounds they'll look for a tight end. But for sure, we know that they're grabbing wide receivers and offensive linemen for the offense. As far as that goes, that's where their biggest needs lie as far as that. And now, moving on to the defensive side. I mean, shoot, they did some real work, and I think all Packers fans have to be pretty happy with what they did. They re-signed Rasul Douglas with the cap space they made. They re-signed Devondre Campbell, however you want to say it. Devondre Campbell to a 5-year, $50 million contract, and they got Rasul for 3 years. So, obviously, at the pains of letting Za'Darius go, and I'll always see him as a culture leader, and I'm mad that the Minnesota Vikings got him, but they're always looking for Packers to add talent to their own team, but unfortunately when it comes when they go over there, they don't really work out the way they think. So looking at you, Brett Favre. Either way, so they brought back Rasul, they brought back Devondre, they signed Jarran Reed on the defensive line, which is fantastic because I'm not exactly a huge college guy, but I do watch mostly Alabama and anybody playing Alabama, because if there's a player who plays out well against a team like Alabama, trust me, that player is going to do some stuff in the NFL. Because that's a hard team to beat. Or somebody like the Bulldogs. If you can make a play against a team like the Bulldogs, who had an immense defense this season, or Ohio State, teams like that, like I'll watch the big schools and sometimes other schools here and there, but I'm not much of a college guy. Either way, though, when I did watch Jarran Reed, I did like him come out of college. I was hoping that the Packers would take him because they have needed help at the defensive line for a hot minute now, and I think that's also a position that they're going to look for early. That aside from edge rusher, because letting go of Za'Darius Smith kind of creates a hole for that third rotational guy, because they got a whole bunch of other guys like Tipa Nalai, Randy Ramsey, if I'm not mistaken. This is his name. Let's look. Yeah, Randy Ramsey. Ladarius Hamilton, I don't know if he's that much of an edge rusher, more than just a linebacker, a plain out linebacker. But having our main two guys, Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, looking like he's just going to improve every season, which we all want that. Keep going. But hopefully he can come out this season and really play out well as well. But we need that next guy. They did draft Jonathan Garvin, and this season after Rashawn Gary, they did and they don't really have. I mean, they have Ray Wilborn. Man, he's not much. Doesn't inspire much for pass rush, so it's a really thin pass rush right there. Not very inspiring. Yeah, so I think they'll go for that defensive line, go heavy on defensive line edge rusher, or put the emphasis heavy on defensive line edge rusher alongside a wide receiver, just to shore up the parts that they're missing. One position that a lot of people are missing now on is that third safety, developmental safety, or the young talent that can just step up next season, because they only got Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos. Behind them, people. It's Vernon Scott, Henry Black, Sean Davis in his gains. I like in his gains he showed out well in what was it, preseason last season, but they cut him and put him in the practice squad, so obviously they didn't really feel that strong about him compared to like Vernon Scott. So if you can't beat out Vernon Scott, if you can't beat out somebody like Henry Black, who they were really comfortable letting go this season, I don't know, man. Like, it kind of brings up a question, but we'll see. We'll see how every season is a new season, so we'll see how he plays out this season. Shoot. And moving on to the cornerbacks, where they don't really need too much help. They're, like I said, they're set now, having brought Rasul Douglas. More than anything, is probably just finding out who's gonna play that all-important slot position, because Rasul Douglas is not a slot guy. He's an outside guy. Eric Stokes, the rookie from last season, our first rounder from last season, is an outside guy. Jair Alexander plays everywhere and will do it fantastically. So as long he's coming back in full force, so we'll have our three main fellas out there as far as that goes. They did sign Keyshawn Nixon, who is just looks like a slot guy. He's only 5'10" at 200 pounds, so he's got a little weight to him for a short guy. So just, they'll put him at the slot. We'll see how he works out. Kabion Ento, he's a receiver converted into a cornerback when he came out of Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, he's been a practice squad guy, and at best he's just a special teamer. The way they've seen him at this point, played him, he ain't really. They like how he's progressed, but they haven't put him on the team yet. So it's like, okay, 3 seasons in, you think the guy already earned himself a spot, considering they've needed cornerbacks here and there, but they. It just doesn't. Signs don't point to that man being the guy. Also, they did draft Shamar John Charles, and he is another slot guy out of Appalachian State. Now, I did like him coming out because of the plays that he was making, and the tapes that you could see. Of course, him being on the shorter side at 5'10". Only 184, so most likely just a slot guy again. So there's some competition for the slot, but they didn't really play him much last season, so they didn't feel like he was ready to actually play out. We'll see if he does show up something this season, or if they just draft somebody in the later rounds just to, have competition. They did seem to have yeah, as far as the cornerback room goes, they might look for one more guy here or there, or they might go with the guys that they have on the team right now. And they might think that they have their guys. Defensive linemen going a little more into there. They obviously we all know our big man Kenny Clark, the guy that they signed, like I was talking about, Jerron Reed. Dean Lowry last season actually had himself a nice one. I think it was his best statistical season of his own career. So good thing he's improving. Will he continue and justify having kept him on the team for the price point that he's at? We'll see. But then there's the fan favorite underdog, Jack Heflin. We all want him to be something. I don't know. I feel like every Packers fan wants Jack Heflin to get a spot on the team and be that underdog. I swear they do. I've seen so many things about people talking about Jack Heflin in some way, shape, or form, bringing him in there. They did draft TJ Slayton last season. He's a big man, 6'4", 330, just a plug the middle type of guy. Now, as far as the production, the times that he did play, he showed some flashes here and there, so like they're inspired. It is inspiring to see that he did make the plays that he did, or he was around the play, um, but he didn't like wow anybody, you know. But he was a rookie, so we'll see what he does this season, in his second season. It'll be nice if they could actually add somebody they feel super confident with, rather than running with guys they think, okay, maybe so, maybe not. Because honestly, to a certain degree, they could, and just thinking, because they do have a lot of cap problems. They had some, they still got some, they're going to have more later on. And kind of, I know I was just talking up Dean Lowry, but maybe trading him away for just to get that cap space, and drafting a lineman that, so they got a cheap contract for that. And I don't know, maybe trade for like a tight end that they feel comfortable, and then that way they don't have to waste a draft pick on a tight end. So, you know, they got ways they can probably work it around, maybe add some real deep talent into this, or if they want to just add one more guy, just to have those 6 guys on rotation for the defensive line. I mean, they do rotate their guys a lot, so most likely what they would do is look for that 6 rotational defensive linemen, so they can like put 3 on there. But we've also seen them put Rashawn Gary, or more often Zadarius Smith on the line with his hand in the dirt as a 3rd defensive lineman, keeping Kenny Clark and like Dean Lowry or TJ Slayton out there on the side, or but they also did have Tyler Lancaster in that time, if I'm not mistaken. I wonder if he's still on the team, honestly. But regardless of that, yeah, a little help on the defensive line would not hurt. It just wouldn't hurt, you know. Yeah, and obviously, you know, they did bring in a punter. Not a lot of people really care much, but they brought in a punter, so they helping the special teams. I guess we can just go ahead and transition to the coaching changes, because one of the biggest issues that the Packers had was special teams. And yeah, our special teams coach wasn't as like high profile, I guess, as Rich Bisaccia is. But it's exciting to have a former interim head coach coming to our team and being the special teams coordinator. You know, like, he's got experience at the highest level, and he did pretty well with the Raiders. If I'm not mistaken, they were in the playoffs, or were close to it. I think they were the reason that the Chargers didn't go, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, he did really well, even in between all the drama with John Gruden, and they also did have, you know, a player arrested, and it was just an ugly season for the Raiders, but they made the absolute best of it, and Rich Bisaccia was leading that charge. And you know, it's exciting to have him come in and shore up the special teams. Obviously they need players now that can actually, you know, do what he needs them to do. With that being said, they probably will look for a returner, considering that Colin Hill is coming back from that bad knee injury. He'll probably have to work his way into the return game. Amari Rodgers, I don't know if they want to keep him as a return receiver. and slot guy, or if they want to have him, since he was a third rounder, then they might want him to work really well. They might put him into the slot and have just do that instead of the return, so they don't risk him being injured. They got whole world of possibilities they can do for that situation as far as a returner goes, and admittedly they have been looking for a returner for the absolute longest time. I don't think they've had the same returner for a hot minute now. I think they probably went through like 6 or 7, just right off the top of my head. I mean, they went so far as to signing David Moore like he was like a castaway from the Panthers, just so, and they only signed him so he could be a returner. Like and he was much better than anything they had on the squad. So like, you know, they need something back there. They need somebody back there that can actually set them up in a good position to shorten the field for the offense. Of course, yeah, it takes away yards and stats from the offense. Who cares? They're putting up points. They're winning the games. You know, that's what we want. So it's good to see them having made that coaching change and brought somebody with some real fantastic experience. And I mean, I would imagine that with that, and then the other assistant coaching changes that they've made, like Tom Clements coming back as far as being the quarterback's coach, because Luke Getsy went to the Bears. But yeah, ew. I don't know why you would go to the Bears. We're not talking about that. Tom Clements coming back. He was, if I'm not mistaken, the quarterback coach for when they won the Super Bowl, or a little bit after that, when who's that man who went to the Giants? Man. Now he's with the Panthers. Offensive coordinator. Ben McAdoo. Boom. I knew it. Either way, I think he was the offensive coordinator, while Tom Clements was the quarterback's coach at during the Super Bowl, and then the season after. And then when Ben McAdoo left for the Giants, I was just talking about that. Left for the Giants, Tom Clements stepped up to the offensive coordinator, even though Mike McCarthy was still calling shots. Either way, you know, Tom Clements coming back is really nice. His experience with Rodgers, they'll probably work well together. Hopefully, he can bring some good knowledge to Jordan Love. Even though it doesn't look like Jordan Love's gonna be the guy. Maybe they kind of like, you know, left hook us, and, you know, kind of like us say, oh no, it was just this season that Rodgers is gonna be back. Next season he's gone and he retires. Jordan Love is our guy, so hopefully Tom Clements, either way, haven't worked. I think he worked with Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers, and then, I mean, shoot, he's worked with Rodgers ever since, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, kind of want to fact check myself. Yeah. From 2006 to 2011 as the quarterback's coach, so he was playing with Favre. He was there. He came in the season after Rodgers was drafted. So in Rodgers' second season, Tom Clements was his quarterback's coach already, and for 5 seasons he was his quarterback's coach. So he was there while Rodgers was sitting behind Favre, so he knows he's seen some. He's seen 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks play. I think he can help Love, but we'll see. I mean, he did tutor Kyler Murray in Arizona, so in 2019 when he became the Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, you know, he did. He's done some work, and you know, he's put quarterbacks in good positions or coached them up as best as possible. And you know, so we'll see what he can do for the team now, whether it is Jordan Love that they end up deciding is the guy for them, or if, you know, they end up trading him away and drafting somebody within a couple drafts. We'll see what happens there. But as far as that goes, so yeah, and then you know, hopefully these coaching changes mix with the players that they bring in the draft, and then anybody that we all know the Packers, they always sign 1 or 2 more guys right after the draft, and so some street free agent that has potential to be okay, has potential to be good. Probably willing to bet that if they don't grab an edge rusher, then they'll grab an edge rusher or another defensive lineman as far as help goes for that, or look at free agency for a slot cornerback, though I doubt that's the case. Yeah, hopefully with the talent they bring in and grab, hopefully they, you know, either way, either the draft or free agency after the draft, they fill in the holes that they need to really shore up the parts that they needed to shore up. Because more than anything, if we look at it as far as the Bluntly side, they need to shore up the special teams, and then shore up the wide receivers, because they don't really have anybody there. But Reese, as far as they don't have that big name guy there, that the guy, you know, our Devontae Adams or Michael Thomas or Tyreek Hill or whatever, you know, we don't have that guy. We need one. So, and then aside from that, just the other help between edge and defensive line, offensive line, tight end. We'll see. Maybe they grab another linebacker just to have a rotation with Chris Barnes, Devondre Campbell, and fill in the blank. Somebody in the later rounds like Jack Sanborn or Jojo Doman or I don't know who else is a good late round pick. Looks like a good late round pick. I've been hearing a lot about Malcolm Rodriguez, or maybe if Brian Asamoah falls, people think he's going to be a great developmental guy. Having Devondre for 5 years and having Chris Barnes, who's honestly a pretty good player on his own, in his own right, probably would do them some good. But we'll see what happens if they feel comfortable with the linebackers that they have, and they just look for that edge help. And yeah, we'll see where they go. As far as the schedule goes, I mean, they finally are playing a game that's not in the United States. They're playing one in London, if I'm not mistaken, and then the rest, and that's gonna take a home game away, but who cares? It's like 8 home games with that one neutral site, and then 8 away games. So it's pretty balanced. Everybody loves them. So, you know, we're playing the AFC East. Oh, my roommate's team. That'll be fun. And we have the NFC East. So the Eagles, Commanders now, them and their comrades. The Giants and the Cowgirls. Nah, no respect for them. I'm kidding. It's the Cowboys. Calm down. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. The Cowboys look like the best of the bunch, but New York is set to grab some massive talent in the draft with the 5th and the 7th overall pick. I mean, they could easily grab a tackle and easily grab whatever defensive player they feel like would complete them, and not good God, they could have squad. But good luck actually making those picks, because they picked Daniel Jones over Josh Allen. Josh Allen, the edge rusher, not the quarterback. So, then the Eagles, they're also trying to grab a lot of talent. A massive draft haul. They traded with the Saints, but got more picks on top of that. So it's like, huh? But whatever, they got all them picks now, and we'll see what they do with that. And then as far as the AFCs, the Bills, Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins. Only really worried about the Dolphins. The Bills and Dolphins, maybe. That's it. The Patriots are an up and down team, just like the Jets. Although the Patriots have been up now, and the Jets are way down now. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting season. We'll probably talk right after the draft, which is in a couple days from me filming this. So we'll see what happens there. Probably do a reaction to the draft video. I'll probably do after the entire draft, and after I see the entire draft class, because they could also trade around. There's a whole bunch of trade scenarios where they could get to like the 10th or 11th pick, and then trade back from like the 28th, or they can make some moves to really get the guys that they want, and just secure them with a bunch of picks that they can move around and all that. So we'll see what happens there, but it should be exciting. Either way though, that's basically the state of the Packers in my opinion, as far as for the most part. Yeah, I'm excited about this draft, honestly. I hope they do end up grabbing 2 receivers and some hope among the other positions that they need. I'm not worried about that offensive line. For some reason, the Packers just have that magic touch to find an offensive lineman in the mid rounds. It's just the defensive lineman and the edge rush that scares me. So we'll see where that goes. If they go early just to grab some real talent there, I would love if they grab somebody like Jake Jackson in the 2nd round. That'd be fantastic. Or like Magi Sanders with the 92nd pick. People sleep on him. He might actually be real good. Or Cameron Thomas in the 2nd or 3rd round, if he's there, fantastic. It's a good deep draft, and we guess we should just leave it up to the results. But all right, I guess we'll be talking then. Other than that, appreciate y'all listening in. We'll catch y'all in the next video. As always, go Pack Go. Deuce.